today is paint day. I brought the rig, I brought Fritter over to our house. I don't know if you can see, it's like halfway up on a curb. If I do put the slide out, we literally take over about half of the street. It's just so much easier to get stuff done when I have access. Like so many things that I've been wanting to do and couldn't because I needed power or I needed to get a tool, and I'd get all the way to my job site and I don't have it. So we're here today, kind of run through what we're working on. Pretty basic day. This right here, this is the primer that we're using. And I'm going through and pretty much trimming everything out now. You can kind of see how we've got everything trimmed. The only thing that I haven't really trimmed yet is up here by the cab, just because I'm dealing with the curtains and I just want to be careful because I do want to try and salvage those. We do have the wood square that we're working on. We're going to be coming through now and rolling the rest of the camper, so we should be able to have that done and finished hopefully by tomorrow.
The other thing that I forgot to tell you is we did go through and fill up every single hole that was in here. It took quite a bit of time, but I was really kind of intrigued by the product that we used. Let me show you. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Make sure that you do take time to fill everything. Prep work when it comes to paint is probably the most important thing. I'd say more than half of your time is spent getting ready to paint, and then the other half is painting, which if you've done the first job right, the second job is easier. But don't forget to prep and to clean your walls down after you're done. Wipe them down.
So we've got the floor prepped. It looks good. I mean, at least in this front area, really not a lot of things. But one thing I would do as you are starting to lay the flooring, I would make sure that that you keep your glove on and you always sweep the flooring with your hand. That way it's going to snag on your glove so you know if there's anything there. Because trust me, it's unbelievable how I will go over these floors 3 or 4 times and I'll be walking along and next thing you know my shoe will all of a sudden, you know, snag on a staple and I have to remove it. So keep walking through. I would suggest if you've got a high pain tolerance, walk around barefoot. You're going to quickly find anything that's left out, but I'm not going to do that. So before we get into the flooring portion of what we're going to do, we've already prepped the front cab, we've prepped the main area, and we've prepped the back. We're going to put down the rubber membrane. I did not want to go with carpet and I didn't want to go with hardwood up in the cab. I think carpet gets dirty too quickly. I don't know what we're going to do to the doghouse area of the cab yet. I think we're just going to leave it carpeted and try and clean it and then maybe have it recarpeted later. But we think we found a really cool way of taking care of the front cab that matches the rest of the wood that we're using in here, but makes it a little bit more durable and adds a good transition from one place to the next. So let me show you real quick what we're going to be using. This is a Goodyear product. It's a rubber diamond plate floor mat. So you run these out inside of like heavy machinery areas or places where you need something that is going to last, but it's, you know, you just want something that's very durable. So you can kind of see what the diamond pattern looks like. We're going to roll it out and measure the entire length of the cab. So we're going to do it in 2 separate phases. So we're gonna do the first one where we're gonna roll it across and then make the cuts for the chairs. We're probably going to bring it, I would say, out to about right here, or where the transition comes from the slide coming in, and then that way it's just kind of an even transition across. Make sure that you dry fit. Never glue first. Lay it out, make your cuts, see what it looks like flat. Make sure that it's going to go. Then what you do is you roll it up on both sides. So do like an accordion roll on both sides. So then that way when you place it down, you can immediately kind of place it. And then the glue's gonna have a little bit of give and take here and there, but you wanna go ahead and make sure that you are in place, ready to go when you roll it out, and you trowel out the adhesive, roll out the rubber matting, make sure that it lines up, and then go ahead and roll it with a hard roller to get the glue so it's an even spread across. If you have any pockets that seem to be piling up a little bit, make sure you have a couple of really heavy objects with you so you can put those down on top of the rubber matting just for a little while so the adhesive takes. But we'll see. Never done this before, and honestly I've never seen it done in a cab, so I had nothing to go on. So we are attempting an RV first here. One of the things that you need to be careful of when you're working around the cab of your car is that you're working with some metal surfaces. And metal surfaces that are close to the engine, guess what they do? They get hot. I didn't realize this. So I'm removing the initial carpet from the cab, and I said, hey, there's a metal plate here. And there was what looked like kind of like a little like a little mesh kind of firewall that was sitting underneath the carpet that was in here. So I did a little research, and as I drove it around for a while, I found out, yeah, it does get kind of hot. So if I'm going to be putting a rubber membrane in the cab, I need to find something that is, something that will absorb the heat, provide a little cushion, and replace what I had to remove, because it was pretty beat up. So here's what I found. I went on to, first of all, I called a couple of automotive people, and they said just go to Amazon. So I looked on Amazon, and this is what I found. You can see this is it's kind of like a spongy, looks like an absorption. It's made for, I think, the underneath of hoods. So it's got a peel and stick back to it here, where I think you peel it. It's pretty sticky. It goes up under the hood, so when you shut it, it will absorb the heat. I went ahead and I took all of the planks and laid them straight across. Here's what I found, and I'm glad that I did. When you look over there, you will see that it is off by, I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch, so that much. So now I was able to draw a straight line with exactly how it was going to go across. So now I know it's perfectly the way that the flooring is going to lay down across the RV. The other thing that I learned is that I've got about another 2 inches that I'm going to be going this way, just how it indents into the slide. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't leaving myself with about a 1 inch or a 2 inch difference over here. The good news is that it's almost going to be a perfect fit. So when I run it all the way across, it's almost exactly 8 feet. So this is the membrane as it's completely installed now, and let me explain a little bit about how it's performed and what the process was to put it down. So we had to cut it. You've seen pictures of us going in and cutting it to shape. So we had to pre-cut it, make sure everything was looking good, and then we rolled it out, put down a lot of adhesive all over the place, because this is going to have a lot of feet, a lot of movement. Stuck it down, weighted it down, and it has not moved. It has been perfect. It is such a good performing piece of material. We did that first, and then laid the transition strip across it just to go ahead and set the edge of where the transition was going to be. Then after we put the metal transition strip that's underneath this, we laid the floor. So we put the floor in, And then after the floor, we went ahead and just put down the finishing piece of the transition. And you can see, I mean, I really think it looks nice. I mean, I think it's a good color. It matches, and it's exactly what the front of the cab needed. So I wanted to show you a quick little fix that we had for the front of the cab. I think everybody has when they buy an older unit. So this is a 1999. So I don't know if a lot of you are old enough to remember what televisions were like in 1999, but they were huge. They were big. So obviously they needed a lot of space if you were going to have a television in your unit. So a lot of these rigs have that empty cavity all the way in the front. Really, you can't use for hardly anything other than storage, or it's just kind of there. So we thought of kind of a creative thing that we wanted to do, rather than just have this makeshift like television sitting up in there, or like when we bought it, it had this big arm that came out and it just kind of wobbled in the front every time we drove. So what we did is we went to, well, let me show you. So what we did, we went to Lowe's and purchased like the tabletop board that you can buy. It's a pre-cut already to size, but it's really good wood. So what we did is we bought that and we cut it down to size. And you can kind of see what that looks like right here. And we just pretty much filled the opening. We didn't do anything special. We didn't frame it out anyway. I bought some heavy duty hinges that and sunk them with some pretty thick screws into the frame portion of the cabinet. And then you can kind of see on the back side too when I show you, I went ahead and you'll notice that it's kind of, I kind of backfilled them, but I went ahead and I bolted them rather than screwed them through, just so I had a pretty solid connection. The television that we're using, it's a Toshiba, but it's extremely light. This is the lightest television I've ever had in my entire life. But what we've done then is you can open it up and you can see kind of how it's mounted here. But we can open it up, connected it with a little C-clamp. You can see the rollers right there. And have not finished out the inside of it yet, but I can imagine us going ahead and adding some shelves, maybe just turning this into where we carry the camera equipment, the charging stations, just kind of out of the way of stuff that, we just, that kind of gets in the way. So that's kind of the fix that we use, and you can kind of see how we bolted the hinges on the back. Not only do we have a television that's anchored on there really well, but we also have a storage space. So both sides do open barely. You can kind of see how it comes through, and then everything is plugged in from there. I like it a lot. Hope that helps.